Jerry Sargeant from Star Magic Healing. Welcome to the Anam Cara podcast. And we're going to get into a discussion about your Star Magic healing and your personal story of awakening. So, how are you today?
Amazing. I am. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So, just heads up, give us a bit of information about Star Magic healing and what it is.
Yeah, so Star Magic is it's a healing frequency, and we use it to recode people's blueprints. So the body and brain is a biological computer. It's uploading and downloading frequency code information all the time. It's also a communication device. So when the body has some kind of physical symptom, whether it's liver, eyesight, whatever it is, then we have kind of a starting point. And what we do is go into the back end of the biological computer, into the quantum field, access the lives or the experiences that the soul has had or is having and change them. And it creates physical, verifiable, lasting results on the front end.
Okay, well, we'll talk more in detail in a while, but could we perhaps start with the nature of your awakening experience that brought about this whole healing journey for you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a very kind of colorful past, shall we say, very different from what the one that I'm living now. And what changed my life around was a car crash that happened in Romania back in 2004, 2005. And the taxi I was in ran three ladies over. One of them came through the windscreen, smashed me in the face whilst I was asleep, got flipped over the car and died. Second one had her ankles cut clean off, and the third one was physically okay. To cut a long story short, when I got out of the car, I saw the lady's soul leave her body. And I'd never seen anything like that in my life. And it was a massive wake up call. I was shown that there's something beyond the physical realm, and it started me exploring. Then I had a number of other experiences that led me to my first spiritual teacher who worked for Scotland Yard in the psychic division. She taught me how to remote view, how to bring my light out of my body and travel, how to collect information, data from the other side. I moved to New Zealand not long after that and had an encounter with some extraterrestrials. They actually gave me the codes that later on became Star Magic. After the experience with the extraterrestrials, I ended up in some Egyptian mystery schools underneath the pyramids in Giza, where a man with scrolls was showing me the codes that I downloaded when I went to the planet Alpha Centauri and met my Lyran family. And I went every day for 9 months for a couple of hours with my son, and he was showing us how to heal people with these codes. And then people just started coming into my life that needed healing. And then I resisted it for a long time because my old life was fast money, easy money, full of ego. And I was kind of enjoying that because I didn't really know too much else. But the universe just kept kicking my butt. And eventually in 2016, started Star Magic Healing. And then, since then we've trained thousands of people in 60 odd countries from China to America, everywhere in between. And yeah, we're building our first healing center in Transylvania in Romania. So everything's kind of just flowing and moving. And I just kind of live from here now instead of here. And it works out much better.
And just
Yeah.
in your general life, when you have an awakening experience like that, how did it affect how you see the world and the people close to you and just your daily living?
You know what? Like to start with, it didn't really change too much because I'm one of those people that kind of takes one of those sort of persons that takes it on the chin. So whether something's kind of serious or not so serious, it doesn't really phase me too much. So I sort of continued on what I was doing after the car crash and seeing this lady's soul. But I found my first spiritual teacher and I was getting regressed into past lives like two or three times a week for a number of years. So it was like a culmination of experiences. And my old life that I was living, my colorful one, I mean, I was making a lot of money. And what was happening, the money that we were making, we were actually giving it to charities in Africa, and we were building water pipelines and schools and infrastructure. And the letters used to come back saying how much we'd helped people. And so we kind of felt like Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. And this changed me a lot too, like actually giving to other people. So there was the culmination of the car crash. meeting this human being that guided me so much into all these past lives and esoteric experiences, still doing my old being up to mischief in my old ways and making the money and giving it to charities. It was a culmination of things that changed me slowly, but I still kind of resisted it. I was deep in the trenches, so it took a
Mm.
while for me to kind of pull myself out and get dragged out a little bit.
So it's something that unfolded over a period of time. And what spiritual things did you notice in that that kind of pulled you more towards a spiritual path and a healing path?
Well, I started to operate from a greater space of presence. And so I was breathing deeply and seeing and feeling the world around me differently, slowly over time. And things just stopped bothering me as much. I used to be so angry. I used to be a loose cannon, but slowly I was sort of stripped away, like going into all these past lives. I was like an onion, the layers were being stripped and stripped and stripped. And eventually, my pineal gland was open. I could bring my light out of my body and travel through different dimensional spaces. So I could go through gateways and up to other realms, and I could even get out of this time-based matrix and go into the God worlds. So having these kind of experiences, it gave me just a massive spectrum to kind of perceive reality from. So, you know, over time, there was just no choice apart from just to really commit to this, not just on a multi-dimensional level, but also on a physical level too.
I'm interested also in Giza. I visited Egypt a couple of years ago, discovered lots of connections to other realms, certainly there in temples in Karnak and yeah, around the Giza Plateau. What do you think it is about Egypt that enables human connection with other realms, off-world places, beings, where these downloads, codes, or information is available to us?
Yeah, I mean, we've been running tours of Egypt now for like 5 years, and we've had amazing experiences there. We travel through all of the sacred sites. We get special access to the Giza pyramids. We go in, we do our activations, meditations, have an amazing time. 2 years ago, I actually hired the whole Giza pyramid for myself on my birthday. When I turned up, it was the 8th of March, my birthday, and they told me that I couldn't go in. I had to wait till the 11th, and I had to go in at 11 p.m. And what I'd been discovering, I mean, I know that knew and know there's a Stargate in the Giza pyramid. It's like it's a way off planet, and over the previous years, I've been remembering so much information, and I was shown a way to bring certain frequencies through your physical body that can kind of template your original architecture. So it activates your multi-dimensional Merkaba field, which is a number of male and female tetrahedrons that all spin. It's a 12-pointed star. And when it spins, it creates a sphere, which is the 13th. Now, once that sphere is activated and the 12 points are fully operational, they plug into the 13 transmission centers or multi-dimensional chakras running through your body. They plug into your own tree of life, which is in your body, which plugs in to the 12 stargates in our planetary, universal, and galactic systems. So it activates this architecture, on a multi-dimensional level within your own kind of framework. Now, when you go into the King's Chamber, and you've got all of this fully activated, and you lie down in the middle where the sarcophagus used to be, where it's supposed to be, because where it is over on the right hand side is not where it's supposed to be. So when you lie down in the middle and you bring the 13 constellations of our zodiac in through the walls of the pyramid, plus all of the Dendera constellations in through the walls of the pyramid, so you're running 2 star system codexes into the walls. And what happened when I was in there, the walls just disappeared. They became orange light, and all these beings came into the room, and it was intense. And my soul and my light body came up out of my body, and they took me through a number of different gateways up through Stargate 12 into the God worlds. And I've had this experience going to the God worlds before, bringing my light and my soul out of my body and traveling. But what they were showing me is how we can actually take our physical body through these gateways. It's just that we're not templated enough with enough DNA strands activated to do that safely. So they were showing me going through the Pleiadian, the Arcturian, the Orion, the Andromedan, and then the Lyran gateway, Arimatina, one of the Lyran gateways, number 12. So that was it's like a bend in space-time that takes you up. So they took me up, showed me that experience, then brought me back into my body. So what I realize is this number 13 is so important. When we come down into planet Earth, we come into our mother's womb, okay, as a Merkaba field on 49 days. 9 and 4 is 13. 49 days, the Merkaba field, 8 little cells appear in the body. Also, DMT, dimethyltryptamine, appears in the body. When you look at the Giza Plateau, it's basically Metatron's cube, and Metatron's cube has 13 spheres in the middle of it. So this whole matrix that we're inside of is a cubed structure, and it was put in place to stop the falling consciousness many, many years ago, but we've ended up getting kind of trapped in it. So the way out is through the 13 spheres. Now, if you were to leave planet Earth in a space rocket, then you're going to have to travel at Mach 33, okay, which is 11.2 kilometers per second. 11.2 is 13 again. So whether you're leaving planet Earth in a physical body, in a physical body in a space rocket, or you want to exit through one of the stargates, it's all about plugging in this number 13. We come in on 13, we leave on 13. And it's why they always say, keep away. It's unlucky number 13, Friday the 13th. Actually, it's the most sacred number, and it's the one that gives us our exit plan.
That's very interesting. So, moving on from those incredible experiences to, how did you discover the sort of key elements of star magic healing, and how did that turn into, a healing art that you can teach to other people?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people look at healing as complex, and as humans, we make everything too complex. But actually, the key to everything is simplicity. And the way that I discovered all the star magic healing was in the mystery schools. It was first going to Alpha Centauri in a spacecraft, downloading the codes from my Lyran family, and then bringing them to Earth and being shown how to use them in the mystery schools underneath the pyramids in Egypt. And as I said, we went every day for 9 months, and they were showing us how to download these codes efficiently into the biological computer of a human being to get results, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, which are all linked anyway. And so what we did is we took these codes and then we simplified the codes. And now we share these codes with people in a very easy to understand, simple kind of modality that enables other people to go out and use it. We have a 5-day training, and we have a level 2 training, level 3 training. And people go through this and they go out into the world and just use it straight away. It's not hard. People make it out to be rocket science. That people hear, oh, quantum physics, the quantum field. A lot of people just switch off. But it's a fun place to play around in. I mean, if I can come from the life that I lived and move into all of this and understand it and live my life the way that I do now, anybody can. In the back of the neck, you have something that the priests call God's mouth. It's like a portal, and they wear those big collars in churches because they think demons are going to come in and attack them through the back of their neck. And if you were a demon, that would be a great place to go and attack someone. But what we do is we use God's mouth for good purposes. So we collect the codes that are all in the space, and we have specific codes for different reasons. And we run them in through the back of God's mouth. They go up into the pineal gland. Once they hit the pineal gland, the master cell in the pineal gland downloads the frequencies into every cell in the body. What happens is the old programming, it dissolves, and new light frequency data comes in, and the human being has a biological upgrade. And that's when the healing takes place.
Okay, so just explain from the point of view of a client that comes for healing, what happens and how do they experience this healing?
Yeah, so 95% of our healing is done at distance. It's never done in person. So someone would book a healing on our website. They would, we'd contact them. We'd ask for a photograph, what they want the healing for. We want a photograph of their face and their eyes, because once we look into their eyes, we get a complete detailed blueprint readout of what's happening in their body, in their architecture. So then what we'd ask them to go and lie down at a certain time on a certain day. 15 minutes before the healing session, we give them a meditation to put on, listen to. They'd listen to it. I'd come into the space, or one of the team would come into the space at that time, do the work. And then the next day, we'd send them an MP3 recording, which would be a detailed analysis of what took place during the healing. And we give them more meditations to listen to kind of recalibrate and go through the integration process. Yeah, we very rarely see people. We do run like in-person events, so trainings, group healings, meditation workshops. And when we're doing the healing in person, we're always running this technique where we put the frequency in through the back of the neck, and it's rapid and quick, and just it's this amazing way of bypassing everything logical and just get into the nitty-gritty, deep into the quantum, deep into the DNA, and to recode their system so we can facilitate their healing. And I think what's really important as well to kind of let people know is we call ourselves facilitators. We don't really actually heal anybody, because nobody can heal anybody. All we do is create an environment so that they can heal themselves. So the codes that we run enable them to shift things in the quantum so the body can kind of find homeostasis and recalibrate, and all the body's natural rhythms just move into synthesis, and everything works the way that it should do, you know?
So can you give a practical example, tell a couple of stories of clients that have had healing experiences with star magic healing?
Yeah, I mean, last year we ran an American and Canadian tour. We had a lady that had multiple sclerosis, and the doctors had told her she'll never walk again. Her husband wheeled her into the group healing, and on the second day, she stood up out of the wheelchair and walked 30 odd meters to the toilet, went to the toilet and walked back again. We had another lady, she was in Canada, 72 years old, been injecting herself daily for diabetes, never walked, hasn't walked for 12 years. And on the first day of the group healing, she got up and walked up and down the healing space. The next day, she actually walked from her car all the way down the corridor to the lift, up in the lift and into the healing space, and everyone was cheering. We have had people take their hearing aids out. One of the very first healings that I ever did, a guy contacted me from Birmingham. I was living in Cheltenham at the time in the UK. And this guy contacted me. He'd been in hospital in a real bad way. He had diverticulitis, E. coli, peritonitis, and 3 tumors in his belly. And he was in the hospital, and the doctor said to him, you know, you'd be lucky to make it through the next sort of 24, 48 hours. But if you do make it, we're going to have to cut 10 feet of your intestine out and fit a colostomy bag. Anyway, they pumped him full of drugs. They got him through the next 24 hours. They sent him home just after Christmas, and they booked him in for February to have the operation. He contacted me in the meantime, and I did 2 healing sessions on him. And if you go to the website, you can hear his account of the story and see all the medical records. But his account of the story was this: he was lying in bed, 2 big shafts of light came down by the side of his bed, and a unicorn came and kissed him on his nose. And then the next thing he knows that he's in Egypt. He's kind of on this stone table. And he said that he felt my hand go into his belly where the major pain was, but it wasn't my hand. I worked with a team of surgeons down there, multi-dimensional surgeons. They cut his stomach open with this crystal healing rod, took all the tumors out and recalibrated his body. When he woke up, he had a scar across his belly, and he took photos of it. It's all on the website. And he went back to the doctors, and he had all his tests done: no tumors, no peritonitis, no diverticulitis, no E. coli. All his bloods were clear, everything. So going into the quantum world is magical. There are beings that will assist you. We take people onto crafts to rebuild kidneys, rebuild lungs, gallbladders, eyesight. I mean, all of these testimonials are on the website, pretty much everything. We've had people in major car crashes, you know. There was a guy a few years ago that we worked with. He was from Romania, lived in England. He was on his push bike coming up to a roundabout, and a car went in front of him, and he went over the handlebars, and his head went through the tiny little quarter light window at the back. He pulled his head out. His nose was in the back of his head. He was completely cut to ribbons, broken neck, broken back. They airlifted him to French Hospital. And his girlfriend contacted me and asked me if I'd go and see him. And he was in a glass cubicle so they could monitor him 24/7. And I had to pretend to be his Romanian brother. Luckily, I knew a few Romanian words, and I kind of went down there, and they let me in the morning. I spent 6 hours with him, and I worked on him. When I left, well, I was looking out the window and I looked up. It was a sunny day, blue skies. The only thing that I could see was a cross, a white cross made out of the clouds. And then I left the next day, pulled all of his tubes out. They x-rayed him, no broken bones, nothing. And they told him that he'd been in hospital for a year or so. He was back at work in 5 weeks. So when you're playing in these realms, like everything's possible. It's just about knowing that it's real. You can't doubt yourself. You've got to go in. I mean, we've got a way that we kind of bring in the right frequencies. We work from the heart. We set the right intentions. We bring up a hologram of who we're working with, and it's like it's 5 ingredients. You mix these ingredients together, and magic happens.
Hmm. And so how can somebody train to become a star magic healer and do healings? And how long does that take?
So if someone wants to become a Star Magic facilitator, they can come to our 5-day training. We do them online and we do them in person. We've got one coming up in September in the UK, but I think it's full. We've got an online one coming up in October or November, one in Hong Kong, one in the UK. Sorry, one in Hong Kong. Sorry, we've got another in-person one in Hong Kong and another online one in either October or November. If you go to starmagichealing.org, you can join the 5-day training. And yeah, the level 1 training basically it tells everybody, teaches everybody how to heal themselves, how to heal other people, how to heal groups of people. So you basically get all of the tools. And then level 2 training is about planetary grid work, how to work with the stargates, how to take your own light body to a whole new level of energy. And then a level 3 training is called Through the Stargate, which is where it's a longer training, 7 days. And it's always a small group of people too, because it's real hands-on. And we show people how to take groups of people on deep meditation journeys through portals, stargates to other worlds, star systems to have upgrades and downloads. And there's a whole kind of methodology and process behind that, which we share with people. And all 3 trainings are awesome. Yeah.
And how many facilitators do you now have around the world?
We've trained thousands of people. Yeah, thousands of people in more than 60 countries. Yeah, so many.
And
I'm not sure if there's any country that doesn't have one. I'm not sure.
and how can people find these facilitators?
So most of these people have got their own businesses. If you go to the Star Magic website, contact us. Some of the facilitators are on the website offering healings directly from our website. And if you're in another country, contact us and we'll hopefully be able to put you in contact with somebody.
Hmm. Okay. And you mentioned in the information that you sent to me, you're planning to actually open sort of in-person healing centers around the world. Tell us about that plan.
Yeah, so back in 2016, as soon as I started Star Magic, this being called Derek White, Lyran, who always works with me and is always guiding me, he came to see me. I was in Gloucester and I was looking out over the town, sitting on a hill, and the whole town disappeared. And I see the Christ consciousness grid of the planet and these 13 orange dots. And Derek White is next to me. And I said, what are these dots? He said, they're healing centers. You've got to build them. So I said, well, if I build them, how am I going to run them? It's just me. He said, we got to train people. And that's why I started training people, because he told me to. So we started the training in 2017. And at the time I was like, sounds like a brilliant idea, but how the heck are we going to pull this one off? But over the course of time, obviously the business has grown and we've started buying bits of land, and the bits of land that we've got have come through awesome interesting experiences. Like we bought 49 acres in Madeira because we've got to build one of these healing centers in Portugal. So we've been given all the locations. They're strategically placed on the ley lines and the dragon line grid structures around the planet. Like the one in Madeira, I was working with a guy from Madeira. He had a brain tumor. He came to our workshop in London and I did a few healing sessions on him after he had a brain tumor the size of an orange. And it went. And that was 5 years ago. And he introduced me to like the mayor, the kind of president in their local town that had this amazing bit of land that was off the market. And he sold it to us, and it's got a Stargate on it. The one we've got in Romania's got a Stargate. The one we're doing first is in the Transylvania Mountains. If you go to starmagichealing.org, go to the video section and search Healing Center, the video of the flyover will come up. It's all the CGI models of what we're building. We're just getting planning permission at the moment. And as soon as we get that, we'll be breaking ground. So it's exciting. And all of these buildings, they're built out of this really beautiful sacred code. And it's the same sacred geometry, not like you get in textbooks here. It's not with all the straight edges and the kind of like boxy cubed stuff. This is all about spirals. It's all about the multi-dimensional Merkaba field. The actual building structures are the same codes that we're using in our healing. And I was really fortunate enough, the universe introduced me to this amazing architect that actually designed stuff in the same frequency we do our healing with. So it was like a match made in heaven. And this guy has just produced the most incredible structures. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting it going. So even just walking into the building, the healing's going to take place. Once you stick the star magic in as well, it's going to be amazing. Really excited about it.
And where else in the world, not to try to put you on the spot, but where else in the world are some of these centers going to be?
Yeah, there's going to be one in the UK where we are. There's going to be one in New Zealand, France, Russia. There's going to be one in Maria and Egypt. Maria is the south point on the Christ consciousness grid, and Egypt's the north point. So they're going to anchor that kind of space bridge through the planet. They're going to be in America, uh, Australia, a few different places. Yeah, I can't
Hmm.
remember all of them off the top of my head.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's a few of them.
Hmm. You've mentioned Christ consciousness a couple of times. So, how does Christ connect to star magic healing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about like in terms of like Jesus Christ, like he's our kind of savior and one and only God. This Christ consciousness, it's a frequency. It's what Mother Earth was at one point a Christed planet. And when we spell Christ, it's Kryst, not Christ. So, the biblical notions have kind of misconstrued so many things. There were so many old ancient texts which told the truth, and they've been broken down and, you know, changed and manipulated and split into lots of different books. But when Jesus was here on earth, he was explaining and sharing that, we are all Christed beings, and we all have the templates and the architecture inside of us, and we need to remember this stuff and switch on our multi-dimensional superhuman faculties. And he demonstrated some of those. Um, and so for us and Star Magic, by bringing in these off-planet frequencies and triggering a certain kind of geometrical process in the body, we're able to activate this kind of Christ consciousness in every single man, woman, and child. It's a natural process, but it's something that is laying dormant in most people because they're lost in this external reality. They're stuck on their phones and video games, and they're not taking the deep dive into their own cosmic heart to remember the truth that they're divine, sovereign, planetary guardians that came to this planet on a mission. They're lost in the game, and the game is designed to keep them lost. So sometimes it takes like an awakening like I had, or some kind of experience, or someone to guide someone inwards. And once you take that kind of beautiful journey of the heart inwards, things start to change, and we start to remember.
Hmm. And on your website, are there any experiences that our listeners can have of what you're talking about here? Do you have any free meditations they can listen to or anything of that nature?
Yeah, so if you go to the website, I mean, we do global meditations every month, which are free. So you can register for one of those. You can also download our app. You can get it in the Google Store, in the App Store, the Google Store and the iOS Store, and you can get 7 days free. So you get access to hundreds of guided meditations, light language transmissions, light codes to stare at, which change you. Um, Cosmic yoga, high frequency nutrition, there's mystery school teachings, there's private groups you can connect with beautiful souls like you on the same ascension mission, there's breath work, all the tools that someone needs to be a high frequency being. They can go and just fully indulge for 7 days free, see what they think. Yeah.
And for people who like to read books about this kind of interesting subject matter, do you have a book that you've published about this work?
So I've published 3 books. The first one was called Into the Light, which was about my kind of life story up until around 2012, 2013. And then the next book I published was Healing with Light Frequencies, The Transformative Power of Star Magic, which is all about the healing way, the way that we heal people, all the techniques, all the skills, all the tools. And then the last book I published last year was Activate Your Superhuman Potential, which is a full workbook with just a myriad of tools that you can implement into your life to be a superhuman. It's amazing. So, I mean, all three books are worth a good read. If you want to really understand the healing, get Healing with Light Frequencies. If you want to understand like the full capacity of how to switch on your multi-dimensional architecture, about the cosmos, all of this stuff, get Activate Your Superhuman Potential. And in both of those books, it gives you a really good account of my life too. Probably Activate Your Superhuman Potential the most.
Brilliant. Okay, Jerry, I've no more questions. You've covered everything I intended to ask you very comprehensively. Is there anything you'd like to add to this podcast?
I would just like to say thank you for having me. Thank you to all of the beautiful souls that have been listening, and just go out into the world, love yourself, love everyone else, stand in your power, speak your truth, and realize that we're playing a game. Don't take it too seriously. Have a little bit of fun, laugh lots, and really enjoy the experience. And at the same time, look after this physical vessel and make sure you take a deep dive into your heart. Because when you take a deep dive into your heart and you really start loving yourself, you're going to love everyone else much easier. The key to creating a better world is going in here first.
Well, that's a wonderful note to finish on. So I think we'll call it there. But thank you very much for your time and your very detailed explanations. In the show notes, I'll put some links so you can get to the website and have, find out more about Jerry and his work and his books. So thank you very much for your time. I'm very appreciative.
Thank you, Simon. It's been a pleasure, brother. Thank you.